In August 2018, the Watts family in Colorado seemed to have it all. A devoted father, a pregnant mother, and two adorable daughters. They were the epitome of a perfect American family on social media. But on August 13th, the wife, Shanann, and their two daughters, Bella and Celeste, disappeared, and the husband, Chris Watts, appeared on television with a plea that concealed an unimaginable and horrifying truth. The idyllic facade of the Watts family life shattered in an instant. One moment, their social media accounts were filled with smiling faces, family vacations, and heartwarming moments. The next, Chris Watts stood before news cameras, his face a mask of concern, begging for his family's safe return. But behind that mask lay a darkness that would soon shock the nation. When police arrived at the Watts home, they found a seemingly distraught husband. Chris Watts cooperated, recounting everything in detail, but something was off. His composure was eerily unnatural. He didn't seem to show distress, but rather annoyance. The police body cam captured the first signs that this man was not a victim, but an actor in the performance of his life. Officers meticulously combed through the house, searching for any clues that might explain the family's sudden disappearance. The cameras captured small, haunting details. Shanann's wedding ring left on the bedside table, her phone abandoned on the kitchen counter. These personal items, usually never far from a person's reach, now stood as silent witnesses to an unfolding tragedy. As the investigation progressed, Chris's lies began to unravel due to one crucial detail: his neighbor's security camera. The footage showed him unusually backing his truck into the garage at 5 a.m. on the day his family vanished. When confronted with this video, Chris began to panic. His body language shifted, his eyes darted nervously, and his explanations became increasingly convoluted. The police body cam captured every twitch, every nervous glance. Why did he need to back his truck into the garage? What was he loading into the truck at dawn? The web of lies was slowly tearing apart. The neighbor's footage became a turning point in the investigation. As Chris and the neighbor watched the video together, the contrast between their reactions was stark. The neighbor, genuinely concerned, pointed out the unusual behavior. Chris, meanwhile, fidgeted and avoided eye contact, his discomfort palpable even through the grainy body cam footage. It was a moment that raised red flags for investigators and viewers alike. Inside the interrogation room, Chris Watts' mask completely shattered. The sterile, fluorescent-lit space became the stage for a psychological battle between investigators and a man desperately clinging to his fabricated story. Hours of questioning wore down his defenses, each lie more transparent than the last. The cameras captured every micro-expression, every moment of hesitation. The polygraph test was the final nail in the coffin of Chris's deception. As the machine registered his physiological responses, the truth became undeniable. Cornered and with nowhere left to hide, Chris made a shocking confession. He claimed that Shanann had killed their daughters, and in a fit of rage, he had killed his wife in retaliation. It was a final lie, a desperate attempt to blame the victim and salvage some semblance of sympathy. But even this confession was a carefully constructed falsehood. Chris asked to speak privately with his father. A moment captured on camera that would lead to the unraveling of his final deception. In a hushed conversation, the true horror of what had transpired began to emerge. The man who had played the role of the grieving husband was about to reveal himself as a cold-blooded killer. The truth was far more brutal than anyone could have imagined. After killing his wife, who was pregnant with their son, Chris Watts placed her body in the back of his truck. He then drove his 2 young daughters, 4-year-old Bella and 3-year-old Celeste, still alive, along with their mother's body, to a remote oil field. The desolate landscape, once just his workplace, now became the scene of unthinkable crimes. At the oil field, Chris buried his wife in a shallow grave, her body discarded like refuse in the barren earth. But the true horror was yet to come. In an act of unfathomable cruelty, he personally murdered his 2 daughters, their small bodies forced through the narrow openings of crude oil tanks. The industrial site, with its towering tanks and vast emptiness, became a grotesque final resting place for a family destroyed by the very man who should have protected them. As investigators pieced together the timeline of events, the sheer, calculated nature of Chris's actions became clear. This wasn't a crime of passion or a momentary lapse in judgment. It was a premeditated act, carried out with chilling efficiency. The man who had once cuddled his daughters and professed love for his wife had methodically erased them from existence, all in pursuit of a new life. Why? The motive was an age-old secret. He was having an affair and wanted a new beginning with his mistress. He didn't want to be tied down by his family. Instead of divorce, Chris Watts chose to eliminate them. The revelation of the affair cast a new light on his actions, exposing the depths of his selfishness and deceit. As news of the murders spread, the community reeled in shock. Neighbors who had waved to Chris as he mowed his lawn, colleagues who had shared lunch breaks with him, all struggled to reconcile the man they thought they knew, the monster he truly was. The Watts home, once a symbol of suburban bliss, now stood as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind closed doors. The case captivated the nation, not just for its brutality, but for the questions it raised about the nature of evil. How could a man who seemed so normal, so loving, commit such heinous acts? Security camera footage, social media posts, and home videos were scrutinized as people searched for any sign, any clue that might have predicted this tragedy. In the end, Chris Watts pleaded guilty to avoid the death penalty. He now serves multiple life sentences, his days spent in the confines of a prison cell. The smiling family photos that once adorned his walls have been replaced by stark concrete and steel bars. It's a fate he chose, a consequence of his unthinkable actions. This case is a chilling reminder that the monster doesn't always lurk in the shadows. Sometimes it's the friendly man next door with a perfect smile. It forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about human nature and the masks we all wear. The Watts family tragedy serves as a stark warning that appearances can be deceiving, and that the darkest secrets can hide behind the most picture-perfect facades. As we reflect on this case, we're left with haunting questions about trust, family, and the human capacity for both love and unspeakable cruelty. The quiet, tree-lined streets of the Watts neighborhood now carry an eerie silence, booked a community forever changed by the knowledge that evil can wear the face of the boy next door. It's a sobering reminder to look beyond the surface, to cherish our loved ones, and to remain vigilant against the darkness that can hide in plain sight.